Okay, so we are going to move on to the next section. And so I'm going to hand it over to Gary Williams, who is the city manager of Carbondale.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Well, first, thanks to everyone who is on this call today, and everybody that's presenting, and all the work you're doing. All of your efforts are making Carbondale and our planet a better place to live. And again, thank you. And on behalf of City Council, I know they thank you as well. As I was thinking about this resilience fair, I thought that I'm so proud to live and work in a city that believes climate change is real, and with people and organizations in our community that are willing to do the work, like you guys, to reverse any damage that has been done. I wanted to share some of the things we've done over the last several years at the city. I've been really pleased to work for City Council that expects us at the staff level to pursue projects that promote sustainability. And some of those projects are, first and foremost, our recycling program. You guys are probably aware that we were the first community in the region, and I think we may still be, I should know this, but I think we still may be the only one that has its own in-house recycling program, and we continue to grow that every year and look for more opportunities to reduce waste. One of the biggest things we're proud of is this will be our 40th straight year that we've been a Tree City USA. So we talked a little earlier about the effect that CO2 has on climate change, and we all know how trees can help mitigate that. And so we take that very, very seriously here. In the last 4 to 5 years, we've planted nearly 1,000 new trees around the city, and every year we're looking for new opportunities to add them. A couple years ago, a project, it was a small project, but I think a lot of people don't know about it. We partnered with SIU School of Agriculture and the Chicago Field Museum, who came down here and evaluated areas around the community as well as Jackson County to evaluate areas that milkweed could be added to increase habitat for monarch butterflies. So we're looking at some spots around the community that maybe we can help with that. Recently, Keep Carbondale Beautiful secured a grant to add native plants and trees to a city property in the 800 block of East Main. So you guys may remember the former Econo Lodge property, and that has been, that's become a green space. So we're gonna restore that to a kind of a native area that's gonna have like an educational component to it. So that's pretty exciting. Some of these projects I'm going to talk about here are things that really don't get out a lot in the community, but I think they're very important, and I think you guys need to know about them. Our Cedar Lake, as you know, is our water source, and we've had numerous ongoing grants that we've secured to do ongoing shoreline stabilization projects. And so basically what that means is preventing erosion and preventing sediment to affect our water source. So we're protecting that for our future. In the last couple of years, we reorganized staffing at our water plant. So it's allowed us to operate with fewer hours and reduce energy use at that plant. This year, we've ordered our first electric vehicles for the city, and we should get those next summer. And we're about to embark on a larger EV plan that will guide us on converting our fleet in future years from gas and diesel to electric, as well as how we can place charging stations, at least for city properties. All of our facilities over the last several years have had various upgrades. We've shaded windows, we've converted most of our bulbs, if not all of them now, to LEDs. We have a lot of sensors and offices around City Hall, as well as other satellite locations that trigger light usage. So it turns lights off when people are in hallways, conference rooms, and those types of things. And we've done a lot of HVAC upgrades as well. All of those to reduce energy use. We have about 1,900 streetlights in Carbondale, and we've converted about half of those to LED now. Most recently, we got a grant from Ameren about 6 months ago to do, I think it was about 800 that they're doing. And you guys will probably notice the main corridors. We started first, and then Northeast Carbondale, we moved to Northwest. But yeah, that'll get us about halfway there to converting them all. Everybody's probably aware of our multimodal station that we're so proud of, and we're actually in the design of it right now. That's going to be a LEED certified building. And I think that right now we're slated to get a silver certification, which is pretty good. I'm not personally aware of another LEED project in the region, so we hope that that sets a standard for future construction projects around Carbondale and the greater region. And then most recently, we completed a $2.4 million solar array project at various city properties. That project is going to offset all of the energy usage at PD, at our police station, about 70% at our southeast wastewater treatment plant, which is out on Old Highway 13 near Reed Station Road. And then there's only about 5% offset at City Hall, but we felt it was really important to be able to put those panels here in a highly visible location, again, to set an example and hopefully encourage other businesses and residents to add solar. So there's more things we're working on. Those are some of the highlights that came to me when I was trying to put some notes together. And we're really proud of the work we've done, and we're going to continue to move forward with these types of initiatives. So one of the biggest things, though, that I'm proud of is we have a sustainability commission here in our community that in the last year, has started working on a sustainability action plan, which is a long-term plan. A couple of years ago, I approached some of the members, and I was so happy that they were enthusiastic about this notion. And essentially what it is, it's a long-term strategic plan that sets a lot of baseline, has a lot of baseline data, but also achievable and measurable goals for the future. So it'll be a policy document that will allow us to identify ways to improve, ways to reduce our carbon footprint, ways to add renewable energy, and then we can measure our progress over the future. So that's something I'm super excited about. And with all that, I'd like to introduce Saxon Messager, who's a member of the Sustainability Commission. He can speak more about specifics of the plan and some other things that we've done recently that will help us track our progress.
Thank you so much, Gary. Really appreciate the introduction there. Again, I am Saxon Messager. I'm a member of the Sustainability Commission here in Carbondale. Give me just a second and I'll share my presentation here. All right, can we all see it there? All right, so like Gary was saying, I'm a member of the Sustainability Commission. We're with the city, and one of the main things we're doing is trying to have a sustainability action plan. We're trying to find a way that we can not only be resilient, but also adapt and improve our environmental situation in the region. Thank you, of course, to everyone who's involved with this project. And just to start, here are two pictures. It's the tale of two cities, I like to say. One, we have on the right, we have our wonderful Carbondale staff and the new solar arrays. It's very happy, it's green, it's nice. On the left, we have a picture that I took out when I was traveling in California recently. It's of the Salton Sea, which just briefly was basically an example of an incredible environmental and economic disaster where a thriving resort town of that area, which was thriving farmland as well, basically collapsed over the course of several years and has been basically a wasteland since, because they did not listen to the warnings, they did not listen to the experts, and they didn't have a plan. And so we're trying to do something differently. So what is the sustainability plan? Just briefly, again, it's the effort by the city of Carbondale to create a more resilient, sustainable, and equitable economy and environment. Those things are all interrelated, and we like to mention that as much as possible. Again, it's coordinated by the Sustainability Commission and assisted by the city with input from members of the public. It's also regionally unique. Like Gary was saying, there's a lot of things that we're doing that are just not being done by cities in our area. We're the only city in about 100 miles that I'm aware of that is taking on a sustainability plan. It's a big deal. There's 5 major sections of the plan as of right now. The first is reducing fossil fuel energy usage. Second is reducing fossil fuel usage in transportation and landscaping. Third is creating blue for water and green for plant and soil infrastructure. Attaining more local, sustainable, and resilient food production and consumption. And lastly, reducing solid waste. The exciting thing that we have about this plan is we've heard all of the warnings of what is kind of in store for us if we do not make these changes. And you can even see in here, these are examples of major efforts in major different sections that not only are we making progress on already, but we're hoping to be able to continue making that progress for. So how it's being made is a nice process just to go over. What's already been done is we've had regular ongoing commission meetings with the city's direction. We've had public surveys, a couple different rounds and orientations of them. We're now members of ICLEI, the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, thanks to the city's efforts. We've also done quite a bit of work in terms of data baseline creation. We had to pick a year, 2019, a somewhat normal year, whatever that means, to be able to compare some of our efforts for the future and create target goals. And also community conversations. One of those is going to be happening in when I'm done speaking, where we can all be able to share ideas in smaller groups for what we want to see in the plan. So future steps include finalizing data, incorporating input from our community conversations, drafting and getting input on the text of the plan, and taking the draft to City Council for approval and starting to take those steps. What's really nice is we have a city government that is actually committed to getting these things done. There's all this progress that we have made and we're going to continue to make. So here is some really exciting, this is the 2019 baseline data that I've collected. And this is just for the municipal operations of the city. It's equivalent to about 7,834 tons of CO2 equivalent, or E, emissions. That's the equivalent of almost 50 million miles driven on a car, and would take about 40,000 trees to grow in a year to offset that. So that's pretty incredible. And you can see, based on sectors, what are the biggest chunks. So buildings and facilities, obviously, in terms of gas and electric. We also, the vehicle fleet, employee commutes, and lastly, just the wastewater treatment facility process. We'll get into some of those in some of these other graphs. So here's just another way of looking at it. The main thing here is that buildings and facilities data is a huge chunk, just keeping those lights on, keeping it cooled, etc. So this here is by sector. I'm gonna kind of analyze some of this stuff here, show some kind of lessons here. So emissions from electricity and natural gas usage. There's basically, this is the cost of the constant regular usage at the water plant. You can see here with the water and sewage electricity usage here. It also shows the benefit of switching to the LED street lights here, because let me see, it's one of the tiny ones, that one right there. Even half of those getting switched over basically eliminated most of the street light electricity. And the solar panels that the city just installed save about 1.8 to 1.9 million kilowatt hours annually, which is about 1,650 acres of forest every year, which amounts for about 45% of all municipal electricity and 25% of the overall emissions for the city of Carbondale. What's amazing is that this is literally already done. It is already sealed, which means that is like a huge effect that we're already being able to see the benefits of. Here you could see, the slight number from city employee commutes. We have an average of about 30 minutes of a commute for every city employee. Individual decisions do add up. The way that individuals choose to bike to work, drive to work, walk to work has kind of major impacts and major changes. It's not just how large scale things work as well. Here's emissions from gas usage. This is from vehicles. You can see the huge impact from the police department. Cars need to idle. So that there is just a ton of emissions that come just from that process. So like we were saying, in terms of replacing some of those with electric vehicles, you can see that that would have an incredible impact right there. One of the nice things about our wastewater plant process is that they switched over because they made an investment in a zero effluent discharge, which not only is helpful in terms of wastewater pollution, but also just being able to have a significant reduction in the way emissions are formed afterwards. This data is slightly incomplete. It does need a little bit more work, but it's, for the most part, is pretty accurate. So returning to our examples of two cities, I'm going to try and finish up as quickly as possible. We just need your perspective, your input, and your support. We have a city who is willing to take action, who's proven that they are taking action. And that is something that a lot of people on this planet don't have the luxury of. So we're very grateful for the city staff and for Gary Williams in particular for organizing some of this. And having your input, particularly about diversity efforts, is going to be really important, because if we can't make our resilience and our sustainability a more diverse effort, we're not going to be able to create resilience and sustainability for everyone in town. So being able to get all the different kinds of voices from all the different areas in town is really important, and from a lot of different communities which have unique concerns. So like we were saying before with some of the data here, without change, it's a matter of when and not if we're going to be experiencing consequences. It's not just from the environment, but it's also economic consequences. In the Salton Sea, they called it the French Riviera of the West. Celebrities were building houses and and they're not there anymore. They demolished them. It wasn't even worth keeping the structures up. So when we have some of these concerns, they both operate in the same way, and making these improvements hopefully will make Carbondale kind of the shining light of this region, and bring investment in as well into green energy and green usage. So thank you all so much. And I know we're kind of running low in terms of questions, and I'll try and answer as many as possible in the chat as well.
Thank you so much, Saxon. That was so informative, and we all look forward to hearing more from you about this in the future. And thanks also to Gary Williams. I will speak for everyone in saying that we're really proud of you guys, and we'll support you in every way that we can.